Hi all, it's JK here in another video. As you can see, my Golf R is looking awesome. It needs a good clean. I'll probably do a maintenance clean this weekend. But if you recall, I winter polished and waxed it so it's all safe and protected by salt and grime and whatever. So, kick-starting this tips and tricks video, we'll be looking at replacing the car battery. Unfortunately, it's not a case of going into your local Halfords or Euro car parts and picking up a new battery and away you go. The first thing you need to bear in mind is this car, I'm talking about the DSG now with auto stop start, needs a heavy duty battery and it needs either AGM or EFB. Further to that, it also needs a BEM capable battery, and you'll know this because on the battery will be the BEM code sticker. So obviously I'm covering that up because that's unique to my car and my battery, but it's all down to this module here, which basically tells the ECU the in and out charge of the battery and what condition the battery is in, basically. And what you have to do is you have to buy either an AGM or an EFB. I believe people prefer AGMs. You then have to recode the battery to the ECU, and it's actually quite a big job to do that, long-winded process. Unfortunately, if you have an ODB11 dongle, you're out of luck. I've spoke to a couple of people and I read on the forum, and I'm waiting for ODB11 for themselves to get back to me. But from what I've been told so far, and from what I read on the forum, you need a VCDS cable. And then what you do is, with your VCDS connected to your car, you enter the codes from the battery direct into the ECU's log, and that's then correctly ties the battery to the car. Now there's a debate on whether or not you need to do all that, because a lot of people have been saying they've just lobbed a new battery in and it's working. But a lot of the Audi people have been stepping in and saying, well, you know, faults could occur, or fault codes could occur over time. You might get problems with voltage, with different components and things like that. So yeah, I personally would definitely use VCDS. Unfortunately, VCDS isn't cheap, so unless you've got 300-400 quid knocking about, you're going to have to either go to your VW dealer, which we're not going to do because they rip you off. You're going to have to go to a backstreet garage that's got VCDS. Fortunately for me, the guy I use has got VCDS. He gets a lot of VWs in, so I'll probably go to him. But I am thinking of buying a VCDS cable myself. Or you'll have to go to a specialist. So yeah, that covers replacing the battery and the type of battery you should go for. That in mind, if I do buy VCDS and you're local to either Lincoln or Leicester or Mansfield or Nottingham or whatever, I'd be able to do it for you, I reckon. Because I'm a software engineer anyway, so, and I've seen the coding process and it looks straightforward to me. So that covers that. The next thing I'll cover is replacing the key fob battery. The other thing I should go over is the SOC error, state of charge error. A lot of people are getting it, and myself included. If it comes back null or %, that's an error code and it needs resetting with VCDS. So again, you either need VCDS cable or go and visit your dealer or a specialist or a backstreet garage with VCDS. As you can see there, my battery's charged, so what I'll do is I'll disconnect it and then I'll close the bonnet and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So, as per previous instructions, you hold down this button here and eventually it will come up with battery status, and there you can see the error code %. A few people get that error. I thought it was just me, and yeah, you've got to get it cleared with VCDS, so that's irritating, but that's another tip for you. So another thing that people have been asking is how to change the battery on your key fob. Apparently the battery in these can go flat quickly. A few people will complain about that. Me personally, I'm okay. But all you do is you flick the key out, and here is your housing for your battery. So what you do is you get your hand there and you just pull that out basically, and it comes off. And there's your battery. And it's in mine, a Panasonic CR2025 3V. And then what you do is you get a little pin, and in that slot there you put your pin in there, and then the battery comes sliding out, and then you put in your replacement battery by sliding it in from this direction. I won't show you because I haven't got any spare batteries, and can't be bothered basically. So yeah, that's all there is to it. And then all you do is you clip the cover back on. So there you go, that goes in there, and it should clip in, which it has done. That's going a bit dodgy, but yeah, and then you close that, good as new. So that's how you change your key fob battery. So this tip is if you lose synchronization between your key fob and the alarm system, that might happen if you replace this battery. So all you have to do is you have to take this cover off first of all, and the way to do that is, I won't demonstrate, but I'll just quickly give you an example. You put your key bit in that hole there, so there, that little hole, and then what you do is with the key bit in that little hole, you pull back on the handle and then carefully push up, or leverage up as it says in the manual. This then comes off. Then what you have to do is, while you're close to the car, you hit the unlock button. You then have 60 seconds to put this key bit in the manual lock mechanism, and then you unlock the door. That then resynchronizes this fob with the alarm system. There's two reasons that it will lose sync, or might lose sync. The first one being, like I said, if you replace this battery, that might happen. I've not had a try yet. And secondly, if you keep pressing the lock or unlock or whatever while out of range of the car, that can also make the fob lose sync with the alarm system. So that's another handy tip for you there. Then obviously after you've resynced it, obviously put this cover back on. So now I'm going to go over the driver assist programs, namely the front collision detection and the ACC. And the reason I'm looking at this is because that's your radar there regarding those systems. You have to keep that clean. Now on some forums I've seen people where they've been driving down a motorway and then the emergency brake system kicks in. And the reason for that being, in my opinion, will be because that's dirty or it's got a slight fault on it. So if it's slightly out of line or if it's dirty, either clean it, obviously if it's dirty, or if it's out of line you have to go and see your dealer and get it fixed. Because it is a sensitive system, I believe. So with that in mind, the first thing I'll go over is quickly going over the driver assist program, how to deactivate it. Now if you saw my video a few months ago, things I hate, 5 things I hate, one of the things I hated was obviously emergency brake system. When it did kick in, it really irritated me because I nearly spilt my coffee all over, and it was a couple of boy races being prats. But nevertheless, I was whinging saying you can't permanently switch it off. Now what I did was, in that video I showed how to switch it off the long-winded way, which is set up, driver assist, and then there's your front assist, and if you deactivate it you then get the message. Now I had a guy on YouTube explain to me there's a quick way of doing it. He was explaining there was a button on the stalk, the indicator stalk, but mine hasn't got that button. However, what you do is, using the central cluster, you go into the drive assist programs. There you go, the assist systems. Hit OK to go into it. Then there you go, front assist. If you hit the down button or the up button, it should cycle through all the systems you've got. Obviously I've only got front assist. And as you can see there, because we deactivated it there, it's deactivated there. But if I hit the OK button, it will reactivate it, which it has done. And you can see it's reactivated there. So if I activate it there, it'll then deactivate it there, and we can play that game all day long. So that goes over the shortcut for deactivating front assist. Next thing I'll go over is ACC. So this video is about ACC. As you can see, it's already activated, so I'll just switch it off. And basically the controls for ACC are on the left hand side of the steering wheel. You've got the on off button, you've got the set button, you've got the mode button, the distance to the vehicle in front button, plus and minus, which can either be used for setting the distance or the speed in increments of 5 miles per hour, and obviously the resume button. So yeah, the first thing you have to do obviously is turn it on. Now as you can see there, when it's turned off, you've got the total mileage of the car showing. As soon as you hit the on button, the on and off button, the mileage is switched from current speed, and it shows the ACC icon along with the distance bar. Now, it's interesting because here's where a bit of confusion can come in. I'm currently in park and I'm currently without a seat belt, and I can increase the distance to the vehicle in front by hitting obviously the distance button and then pressing plus or minus. Then once you stop doing that, the plus and minus then defaults to speed, as you can see there. So I'm able to change speed up and down. So now I've pre-configured ACC to what I want it, ready for when I'm travelling. Now the interesting thing is, according to the manual, you can use, while driving the car, you can use res to increase speed by 1 mile per hour and set to decrease speed by 1 mile per hour. Now if you try and do that now, you get error message after error message. You get put the lever into driver position, which I've done. You then get driver seat belt is not attached, so you have to put your seat belt on. So let me just do that. So I've now put my seat belt on. Then when you hit set, it then sets it. But as you can see there, it's reset the speed back to 20 miles per hour. So that, I know it's a bit confusing where it lets you, when you're in park and without a seat belt on and with the handbrake on and auto hold on, it lets you set the distance and the speed. But then as soon as you put your belt on, put drive in, switch the handbrake off, and you're ready to activate it, it activates it, then puts it back to 20 miles per hour. So that's interesting. But anyway, as you can see, we're now active by the green icon there. And the way you do that is you hit the set button. And now I want to increase my speed. So again, hitting the res button isn't increasing speed by 1 mile per hour. I'm at the minimum speed, which is 20 miles per hour. So if I increase by 5 miles per hour, then press the set button, that's decreasing by 5 miles per hour as well. Now that's confusing because it's supposed to do it by 1 mile per hour, which you can see there it is doing. So if I go down to 25 miles per hour again, it's now doing 1 mile per hour. Whereas a second ago, as you just saw, if I increase to that and then press set, it's going down 5 miles per hour. Now the way I understand it is, while ACC is active, I'll just put it back in park. So there you can see it's not active, it's disabled, but it's still running. And then if I hit the off button, it then completely switches it off. But the way I understand it is, if you're driving and the ACC is set to be switched on, as so, you should be able to use the res button to increase speed by 1 mile per hour and the set button to decrease by 1 mile per hour, and use plus to increase in increments of 5 and minus to decrease in increments of 5. So as you can see, I'm now using set and it's gone down by 10 miles per hour there, so it's a bit confusing how it works. Whereas sometimes when I do it, it then decreases by 1 mile per hour, and if you hold it down, it continues to decrease consecutively. So maybe that's a bit of a fault, I don't know. But yeah, so that's how you trim the speed 1 mile per hour while driving along in set, and ACC is set. The other button is mode. All that does is it deactivates ACC and comes up with speed limiter. The way speed limiter works is you set your speed as usual. Let's say we say it's 20 miles per hour. If you then put your foot down, it will never exceed 20 miles per hour. Now bear in mind ACC is deactivated, so if you expect the car to kick in and keep the distance you set earlier on ACC away from the car in front of you, it won't do. All it's doing is it's limiting you to 20 miles per hour or whatever speed you set using that. You can override it by putting your foot flat down and activating the kick down feature. But that's all limit does, and as I say, all you do is you hit the mode button. Hitting mode again puts ACC back on again. So yeah, that's pretty much all there is to ACC. It's pretty straightforward. As I say, it's a bit crazy where you can easily increments of 5, but for some reason it's not letting me increase by 1 mile per hour. even though it's set, but it's letting me decrease by 1 mile per hour, which is strange. And as I say, if you hold down the button, it then decreases by 1 mile per hour. But certainly res is supposed to do the same thing. If you press res once, it's supposed to increase, and if you hold it down, it's supposed to increase by 1 mile per hour consecutively until you let go, which it's not doing for me. So all I can assume is I'm not moving. But why would the rule apply for one, not another? Why would it let me reduce in stationary but not increase while in stationary? So that's a bit strange. Although, to be fair, I've never used the 1 mile per hour plus and 1 mile per hour minus feature. I always use the plus and minus buttons. So increase by 5 miles per hour, decrease by 5 miles per hour. Works nicely for me. So that'll be why I've never picked up on this bit of a quirk before. So it'd be interesting to get your lot's feedback on that. See how you get on with the using res to increase speed by 1 mile per hour and using set to decrease speed by 1 mile per hour. But yeah, so that covers that. And in DSG, to deactivate the ACC, you either tap the brake, which is what I ever do, or according to the manual, you simply tap the off button. And then to reactivate it, you just hit res, and that should cover deactivating and reactivating ACC while on the move. With a manual R, you depress the clutch as well to deactivate the ACC, but I'm sure you'd all figure that out for yourselves quite easily. So yeah, that covers ACC. As I say, it's a cool gadget, I really love it, and I use it as often as I can.